The 76ers on a 3-game win streak, and Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid are hitting historic territory. We're going to break it all down coming up.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Kayla Santiago with you all, and the 76ers come out on top against the Utah Jazz 114-111. And if you want more 76ers, make sure you check out our free daily newsletter. That's on lockedondaily.com. You won't want to miss it, so make sure you check it out today. Of course, you can watch us on YouTube on the Locked On Network, in addition to anywhere that you listen to podcasts. And on top of that, you can also now look at our newsletter and read it at any time you want to. The free daily newsletter is on lockedondaily.com. So let's touch on this game right now, because as I alluded to, Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey are in historic territory. So we're calling them the dynamic duo because that is absolutely what they are. So the most games with 30-plus points each in 76ers history. I'm going to give you all a second to guess. Let me know in the comments who you think it is before I give the answer. All right, so we're going to start things off with Wilt Chamberlain and Hal Greer. They have 16 games where each of them had 30-plus. Then Billy Cunningham and Hal Greer had 9 games, but Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey are above that. They have 12 games, so they just need to reach that 16 mark or more to be able to set the new record for the Philadelphia 76ers dynamic duo. So they are in special territory, and it was a special game, especially Tyrese being clutch there at the end, hitting those free throws. So Joel Embiid finishes with 32 points. Tyrese Maxey also 32 points, 9 for 10 from the charity stripe. And that was the biggest thing for the Philadelphia 76ers down the stretch. In addition, let's just say, finally, a challenge went the Philadelphia 76ers way. Nick Nurse putting up 2 challenges in crunch time, and they were huge for this team. But the one thing that I'm going to point out, and it's something that Keith Pompey and I have talked about through Locked On 76ers, the production of Paul George. It has been diminished since Joel Embiid has been in the lineup. He's trying to still find his shot, and should we be worried? So my take on that and my takeaway before was, all right, I'm going to wait a little bit. I'm going to see if Paul George can start to really immerse himself in the lineup with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, because the two-man game has looked really, really good between those two. But at the same time, you need more than that when you get into those tougher games and those tougher contests. Paul George needs to add to that, because they barely got by the Utah Jazz people. That's what we're talking about. Now, granted, they just had a big win against the Boston Celtics. It's their first 3-game win streak of the entire season early on here in December. Later on, I should say in the month, because we're almost into 2025, which is absolutely nuts. But at the same time, PG has been in a shooting slump. Now, he's done a little bit of other things, 5 steals, getting his hands in on all the action. And it was a big night for PG in terms of that. But he's still struggling a little bit in terms of shooting. And that's something that you look at and you say, all right, well, how long can this possibly last? I get it. And let me know in the comments if you are worried about Paul George whatsoever. My takeaway from it is I'm not right now, because these trios and this trio has played 4 total full games together. 4. Magic number 4. That is it. They are 4-0 in those games. So clearly something is working, whether it's Paul George's production not being 100% in terms of shooting and making those shots, but they have been working. They're 4-0 since then. Now, I understand you get Paul George on this big deal. The reason you want him to come in is to make a difference, especially in the postseason. And right now, we are getting a taste of pandemic P. I'm not going to lie to y'all. It is pandemic P right now for the Philadelphia 76ers, but I don't think that's going to last very long. I'm going to see more of maybe a little bit of playoff P, not maybe at the height of playoff P, but we're going to see this turn around a little bit, because these two have only played together, and these 3 total have only played together 4 times. We've seen a little bit of Paul George and Tyrese Maxey work out really well. We, of course, know what Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid can do, but at the same time, we need to see Paul George a little bit longer with this trio, and then we can clearly identify what's going on, because right now his shot's just off. And I think, to be honest, with or without Joel Embiid, that has been something that he's been struggling with for a little bit now. His numbers are definitely better with Joel Embiid out of the lineup, but that doesn't mean he hasn't been struggling without Joel Embiid in the lineup too, because he absolutely has. So PG, you need to get out of the pandemic mode and start getting more towards the playoff mode because this team is going to need you coming up, especially if they want to keep this win streak alive. Now, I think the Philadelphia 76ers are completely fine. Do you worry about them barely pulling out against the Jazz? Maybe just a little bit because the Jazz able to hit clutch shots down the stretch, but it's the first 3-game win streak of the season, as I've already alluded to as well. So that's going to be a big thing and a big talking point here. They've had 9 wins in the last 12 games. That's also a big thing for the Philadelphia 76ers because they've struggled. And in December, now, if you guys remember a few weeks ago, before the month of December really got into the stretch of the Christmas Day game with the Celtics, the Spurs game as well, and this contest coming up, we said December is going to be a crucial, crucial month for the Philadelphia 76ers. Can they show us that they're a team that deserves to compete, even in the play-in tournament, guys? I'm talking about the play-in, and I know it sounds crazy, but right now they are. So they're 8-3 in December, and this has been a big push for the Philadelphia 76ers. So it's exciting, and fans should be excited for this right now, but this is what is expected. I think right now you need to look at the longevity and the health of Joel Embiid throughout this season. That is the main focus. And coming into this game, it was something you wanted to see, another game with a trio, and we still didn't really get to see what we wanted out of Paul George. But hey, a win is a win, and the Philadelphia 76ers are able to come out on top of the Utah Jazz 114-111. So my takeaway is that Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey are a dynamic duo. Paul George, I'm still waiting to see a little bit how his shooting woes can get better. He's doing things in other areas with those 5 steals. They were big-time steals at that. But at the same time, that shooting has to get better. Also defensively, the Philadelphia 76ers can't be giving up 111 points to the Utah Jazz. They just cannot. So defensively, they got to lock in on all 4s. You saw a little bit Joel Embiid down low as well, not being able to be the dynamic defender that he has been all season, especially late down the stretch. That's something that's going to come. He's got a mask on his face. So I am giving him the benefit of the doubt on the defensive side of things, especially with the mask. But defense needs to lock in, especially coming up in the game that they have against the Portland Trailblazers. They hit the road again. It's a 10 p.m. start time for those on the East Coast, and we're going to stay up all night, watch the game, and then we can join us after on the Locked On 76ers post-game show. But the Philadelphia 76ers, they come out on top once again, 114-111. A 30-piece for Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, 32 points to be exact for both of those guys. And hey, they are in some special territory, as we alluded to. 12 games those two have had together with 30-plus points each having them. And the highest in Sixers history is Hal Greer and Wilt Chamberlain. So those are some guys to live up to. And Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid look to do that. But thanks for tuning in to this quick post-game show of Locked On 76ers. We'll be joining you all tomorrow night and tomorrow morning for the 76ers after they play the Trailblazers. Can they make it 4 straight? Let me know in the comments your confidence on this team, how you're feeling about it, because right now, my takeaway, the 76ers are A-okay, and they will be to continue to be throughout the season. 4 games together, that's it with Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey. I do think that it is going to click. Ask me when we get into the middle of January. If there's still an issue, then my opinion might change. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. And thank you all so much for tuning in to this version of Locked On 76ers as Philadelphia comes out on top in their 3rd win in this streak. It's been a big streak for them, the Spurs, the Celtics, and now against the Utah Jazz, 114-111. Thanks all for tuning in to Locked On 76ers, and we'll see you guys next time.